Now, it's fair to say there's been a fair amount of bad news around this year, but I'm always looking for the silver lining. I was talking to a mate of mine who is the supplier of the biggest number of seedlings right across Australia, and he tells me that Aussies have bought in the last 3 months 8.5 million punnets of seedlings. That is fantastic news. It brings me great joy to know that Aussies are falling in love with their gardens once again. Now, most of the seedlings that you've snapped up have been veggies. But, you know, everyone gets a little bit disappointed if they don't turn out to be exactly the way you thought. You get disheartened and then you give up. Well, today I'm going to give you some tips, all the things I've learned over the years so that your seedlings will shine. Now, there's a fantastic collection of veggie seedlings out there, but they're flying off the shelves like toilet paper, so you've got to be really careful what you buy. Like, these are broad beans. Now, it's not the garden centre's fault. These actually triple their height in a week, so it's really hard to grow these fellas. If you're going to buy these broad beans, you might need to get those staked up and really growing well. A lot of seedlings, veggies, are sold mass planted, like these little fellows here. These are rocket. Now, I planted some rocket, honestly, 2 weeks ago. I broke these little punnets up very carefully, planted them out, and they've taken off. But you've got to be really careful when they're mass planted like that. Wait till they get just a little bit bigger. Don't buy anything that looks like this. Half of them have failed, so don't put pressure on yourself. And these little fellows, well, these are little broccolinis, little broccoli. They're really tiny. You want to buy them, well, that's okay, but you'll need to grow them in the punnet for another week or two. Maybe put a little glasshouse over the top of it while you're feeding with a bit of fertiliser to get them growing and protect them before you plant them out. Now, quite a few plants are actually sold as individuals, like these little fellows here. Now, they're medium size, they're large size. You're going to have a bigger root system and greater chance of your success. So they're the good ones to look for. And of course, these little fellows here are just perfect. They're ideal. They've got real leaves there, not just seed leaves, and they're on their way. We'll plant those out. And then give them a really good drink. I've added a bit of seaweed into the water because it reduces transplant shock and gets the roots going. Now, those broad beans I had earlier that were really tall and leggy, they'll actually eventually grow up to about 2 metres tall. Now, I planted some of these. Look how well they're growing. Now, because they'll get up to this height, I've made this little bamboo frame. I've got plenty of bamboo. It's growing right here in the garden, so I just collect a couple of those stems. Instead of using rope, which can often break down over the winter season, drill the hole through and use cable ties on the bamboo frame. Because they're going to get nice and tall, I've actually also put in some little rope frames through here. It just holds them up while they're growing. Now, if you haven't got space for a frame like this, there's another alternative. Why not grow dwarf? These are dwarf early Coles variety, only grows to about 1 metre tall, and they harvest really quickly. That's why they call them early. Sow them straight into the garden, and you'll have them up in about 4 days, within the week, from one weekend to the next. Kids love that speed. Now, if you're looking for some more ideas while you're at home, and also for the littlies as well, it's a great time to remind you to take cuttings. Now, I've done cuttings with you before, but never with one of my absolute favourites, tree begonias. Now, look, they're really easy to strike. You've got a couple of options. I just put a few cuttings in these little jars. Look at the roots, they pop out everywhere. If you want to be a little bit more industrious, you can pop them into pots. Now, these are a couple of months old, and they've got beautiful, look at those, beautiful roots on them. You either got brand new pots or some old ones. It's a good idea to disinfect them, just in case there's any bugs or diseases. So add just a little bit of disinfectant to the water, mix it around, drop the pots in, give them a good clean up. Even the new ones are worth doing. Okay, let them dry out and then they're ready to plant up. Now what I'm using is some regular potting mix to which I've added some vermiculite. Mix that all around. Pop it into your pots. And then just pop your cuttings in. That's how simple it is. And there's a lot of plants you can strike at the moment. Keep the kids occupied, have a bit of fun as well.